Good morning, good afternoon. How is everybody doing
Good
today? All
morning.
right, so we have
Morning.
a fun session planned,
Mm.
and I think this is going to be indicative of what people need. So I said this at the end of the first session. I'm going to say at the beginning of this session. I believe, and my crystal ball and these things, I would say, since COVID has been right 99% of the time. I believe the way that coaching has to work for agents has to completely be redefined. Who's seen 24 here? Anybody? Jack Bauer? Anybody know what I'm talking about? Doesn't your business feel like an episode of 24 that every day something's changing? It's like a new crisis. This stuff is like evolving in real time, right? So you have high interest rates, inflation, low inventory, and you have potential for World War III. So indefinitely in the future, this is all going to change. So the way that I look at coaching and our team, who here is in our end-to-end? Mary Murphy, you are. Right? So think about how easy it is when we give you all the stuff and you can just use it, right? Well, this is what this has to be across the board, because the way that I look at it is, yes, you need a coach, but you need a partner. And it needs to be our job to figure these things out in real time and just provide you solutions. Whoa, sorry about that. Because here's the thing, we did this with a group in the morning, and we're going to do this again today. What we need to do is start having discussions around what is going on. So we're going to drop a spreadsheet in here. You're going to pick a column. You could write your name, and you're also going to write what your challenge concern is around the new NAR rulings. So I'll give everyone 7 minutes to do that. And we're going to start going through the questions, answering them. And this is going to be our discussion until we get to a place where everyone feels good about this, right? Because there's so many different things. And look, we have to leave our emotions out of this. I'm going to say this again. We have to leave our emotions out of this. I would see in the chat, I shouldn't have to justify making a living. I shouldn't have to change my commission because the price point's high. But the reality is if I took Sarah out and I was an agent and she looked at properties for a week and she's buying a $3 million house and the seller only wants to pay a 2% commission and I only really worked a week, what am I going to say? You should pay me $30,000? Or can I just accept that it's like selling a $2 million house? These are all the things that we need to think through. And the most important thing in any of this is understanding a simple concept. You all are salespeople. Salespeople. You only make money when you sell stuff. So you need to learn how to sell what you offer. If anyone understood what you actually do in regards to the money that you make, they would think that you're underpaid. But since no one knows what you do, people think that you sit and play on your phone and social media and email all day, and you just stick a card in a lockbox or use your phone to open a door, and you make a lot of money. I'm going to go back and say this again. You can buy a BMW or you could buy a Toyota. They're both cars that get you from point A to point B. You could buy a Louis Vuitton bag or you could buy a bag at Kohl's. They're both a handbag that holds stuff. You could go to the Ritz-Carlton and have an amazing 5-star experience, or you could go to the Holiday Inn and they're both hotel rooms you sleep in. You could buy a Bruno Cucinelli sweater for $2,000, or you could buy a sweater at Old Navy for $20. They're both clothes that you wear. Same thing with all of you. You guys are all luxury brands. But luxury brands have a value in the brand and they have a value in what they offer. Why do we choose to stay in nice hotels and not Holiday Inns? They're both rooms with beds. Why do we buy nice cars and not just basic cars? There's reasons for this. Features, benefit, all types of different things. All right, so let's hop in the sheet and everyone start answering. These autopilots are insane what they can do. This would be a good time to play the Jeopardy music, like do 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 do. If I had a superpower, I wish like in these moments of silence, I could just snap my fingers and whatever music's in my head could just start playing. That'd be like such a cool power. All right. We have 21 people in here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 17 people in here. Go ahead, put whatever your fears, doubts, concerns, worries are. We're gonna go through all of them. Mary Murphy for the win on this one and not confuse them. So far out of both sessions, that's my favorite one. All right, everyone keep writing. I'm gonna start going in here. Going through this. All right, in the Bay Area, buyers ask for kickbacks at the buyer consultation. We've managed to explain our value proposition and not kick back any money. I'm wondering how we could manage to get buyers to pay their own fees. Okay. Number one, it's not exactly that buyers are going to have to pay their own fees. So if a listing offers out 0, you have to build into your offer a buyer's agent's compensation. And so in most cases, sellers will pay something. But what you need to do is justify your value based on a perceived gap. That's how that would work. Brad, consumer awareness. How do we advertise and convey our services, especially in relation to commission rates? This means we must be more careful about ensuring our advertising complies. This means being more careful about ensuring our advertising complies with new rules. Another concern I have is practicing discernment when choosing to work with clients who are shopping up against discount brokers. My man, you got to control what you can control. You're not ever advertising, I charge 6%, right? Like that's not, whoa. That's not where this all goes. You need to be able to sit down, just like an end-to-end, they have all that stuff in those checklists, and we'll turn those around into client-facing things. You need to clearly be able to, 1, understand what they're looking for, and 2, explain what you do in regards to the money that they pay you. And people that are going to shop against discounts are going to shop against discounters. Redfin's been offering 1% commission rates for years, and all of you all still make money. So part of this is psychological safety and knowing that you're going to be okay. Denise, how do you communicate your value? You need to talk about what you do before, during, and I would double down on the after, especially if you're doing client events, yoga parties, quarterly check-ins to see if they need anything, access to ongoing vendors. You're like a human Google for all of your clients with vetted resources on an ongoing basis. As Leonard Steinberg says, you get paid once you offer service for a lifetime, and you get paid once in a transaction. I've been offline. I need to catch up. We just need to catch up on yesterday, Cherish. You're good to go. Miriam, not knowing the outcome. I find it hard to prepare no matter what. Now we have this commission dialogue with buyers too. There's nothing not knowing the outcome. The outcome is you need to know how to sell your services, explain what you do. And if you're able to effectively do that, the people will pay you. And they don't ever. So the thing is, they can offer out 0. Okay, so let me explain this to you all to clear up the confusion. There's only going to be in my opinion, a small sub-segment of people that are just going to say, screw you, you're going to have to get money from your buyer. I don't think that's going to be the case. What this ruling says is that sellers have the right to negotiate commission on a case-by-case basis. Miriam.
Okay, so one of the outcomes, what I meant with my remark, one of the outcomes might be that buyers will have to pay their commission as a totally separate transaction. So if that's the outcome, I think that'll change a whole lot more than if it becomes just a matter of disclosure. I mean, I remember
I don't think there's going to be that many scenarios that happens, because sellers are going to be willing to pay something. There'll just be a gap in some cases.
Yeah, no, but I mean, for instance, when I bought my first house in the Netherlands, we actually over there it's just only listing, so we paid out of pocket. We paid a realtor out of pocket, totally outside of the whole transaction.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen here. Right? Most people will give some sort of compensation and you just build it into your offer.
Yeah.
That's it. It's instead of offering 2%, 3%, whatever it is, I'm going to build into my offer, buyer's agent's commission of blank, seller's net blank. And they'll negotiate. But look, I can tell you this clear as day. I have an agent that I work with here locally, right? I consider myself fairly intelligent in real estate. I've owned a brokerage. I've sold real estate. I did this every day. I would pay her for her commissions because I feel the money I gave her is worth it. And I would not want to buy a house without her in exchange for saving money. And this is me. I can coach and train people in any market in the entire country. We have clients everywhere. But I'm not doing that because I see such a clear value in what she offers. So look, in most situations, it's called problem proliferation. Does anyone know what that is? It's the problem of problems. It's like, oh my God, this thing's going to change. Well, what happens if the sellers offer no money? Then my buyer's going to have to pay. If my buyer's going to have to pay, then what do I say there? And all of a sudden you end up in the problem of problems. And in your mind, you're at the last thing of like, I'm not going to make any money. The buyer's going to be hard. Look, there's going to be people that just don't want to pay anything and don't even want to take the risk. And those are the discounters and everything else. But the last time I checked, the majority of buyers really need help. On our end, there is going to be some compromise, I think, in this. It's going to end up having to be made. And it's going to be on a case-by-case basis. You're going to have to strongly advocate for your value. Now, I would encourage every person to meet a lender in their local market, their preferred lender, and say, if a buyer had to finance commission into their deal, how does that even work? If you're building it into the finance, right, you're saying $1 million offer, right? Sellers, buyer's agent's commission, 3%, seller's net 970. That's it. The house has to appraise for what you're paying for. It's the same exact concept. Simple. It's not. All of this stuff is fear. That's all that it is. Kobe Bryant says, they say to him, do you ever get worried about taking a shot at the end of the game? He goes, no, I'm never worried because I've practiced a shot 1,000 times. I've made it in my mind 1,000 times. And I know when I take the shot, whatever's going to happen is going to happen, but I know I'm prepared for the moment. Don't focus on all this stuff. Focus on being prepared. Every one of you can go into our platform and download the buyer's experience scorecard and then worry about explaining to people, this is what I do. Listen, don't prepare for those. It's like, look, here's the example. And this is what I love most about real estate agents. You can tell them the greatest thing in the world and they'll find the 1 or 2 cockamamie scenarios and that's what they want to focus on. Not saying this is the cockamamie scenario, this is a real life scenario. But don't focus on that. Focus on being great. Focus on being a communicator. Do you know anyone else that's even having this conversation today about this? The answer is no. Nobody is. We are. We're ahead. We've been talking about this for months, no? Show up early, stay late, and practice your ass off right now. Excuse my language. And you'll win. Because when they go to somebody else and blah, 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 I offer you everything, you're going to do what Mary's saying. You're going to confuse them. What are you looking for in an agent you partner with in purchasing a home that you feel you can't do on your own? Done. They're going to tell you what it is. Great. Let me show you how I can support you. And you're going to have to explain to them, this is a buyer's agent agreement. This is our compensation. This is how we build it into the offer. And these are the different outcomes. The seller could pay it, the seller could not pay it, or the seller could pay a portion of it. And these are the three scenarios that happen. It's a luxury service that people are paying for. These people already spend money on stuff like this. How many people get their nails done? Do people necessarily go to the cheapest option or the one that feels best for them? Depends on their finances, right? And by the way, we're going to sit here and teach you how to do this. So all of our sessions are going to be interactive like this. We're going through these challenges as they come up. Because your challenges are somebody else's. All right, let me keep going through this. I'm concerned about effectively communicating my value. That's easy. You can practice and do this. And as time goes on, we're going to make more and more stuff to give you. Not knowing the outcome, I find it hard to prepare. We talked about this. How to do this and not confuse them. I believe the industry will change for the better. The bad actions of chaos will begin. Actions. By the way, this is going to get rid of all those low-life people, not low-life, low-skilled people that have no skills that take up 25% of the commission. Bye. Gone. So you do this by going through the details. Understanding, Mary, where people are searching online and how you fill the gap. Asking your clients what they enjoy the most. Obsessing over everyone that's bought a house from you, because getting them to refer somebody is 1,000 times easier because they're already saying that the money you make is worth it. You can't control that, Jody. You can only control how many people you're willing to talk to. Again, I'm going to go back to this. This does not mean that every person has to pay to buy a house. Roger, you can just walk people through the scenario, right? We have a great calculator that you can get that talks about the cost of waiting and how much you have to negotiate on a discount. And just remind them when there were multiple offers, how much prices were getting bid up and how little choices they had. And if you're in San Francisco, this is like the first time that you might actually really have inventory to pick from, right? If you go back a couple of years ago, even a year ago, there's like no inventory ever. Everything sells in 2
A
seconds.
question in mind that's not what I asked. Weird.
What's your question? Someone was just
What?
there.
Oh,
Was that you? Did you just ask a question?
so, well, I'm Joyce Bartel. The question in there is not one I asked, so somehow it got put in there. I thought that was interesting, just letting you know.
All right, what's your question?
Well, I guess the question is, I'm in California, a little confused yet, what the plan is for California in terms of this, how soon this will occur. And I'm sure the seller may hear about this, and I want to know how do you deal with the seller? What do you say to your seller in preparation for what's coming down in terms of buyer?
In seller, how does agency disclosure work in California?
Well, there's agency for the seller, for the buyer, or for both, dual agency.
And when you're a dual agency, you're an intermediary that can't give any party any kind of professional advice or direction, correct?
Well, there's certain limitations as to price. You cannot share what the buyer is willing to do in terms of price or what they'll take, that sort of thing.
Exactly. So like if I'm a dual agent, you're my client, and all of a sudden you say to me, Mary offered $1 million. What do you think? I can't really say, well, this is what Mary offered. I think we can get her up and everything like that. So the way you talk about this with the client, you're going to say, do we not have to offer a compensation? But like, look, I'm going to walk you through a few different scenarios. You tell me what works best for you, and I want to support you 100%. So I'm going to say the first scenario is no buyer's agent's commission, right? That's what you had said, and you say, great. So let me ask you a question. When you're hiring an agent, what's most important to you, and what are you looking for out of the agent that you're paying a commission for? And they're going to start telling you professional advice and this and that, and you say yes and yes and yes. And then in the end, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to give you a scenario and tell me how you feel about it. If a buyer comes and I offer you this can, and the buyer says, we offer you $1 million, and you tell me what I think, and I say, I can't really answer that. You just have to tell me what you want me to go back with. How would you feel paying an agent 4% for that kind of service? And they're going to say, what? You can say, yeah, because then I'd become a dual agent. I'd have to do both sides of the work, and I'd show them a checklist. This is my side on the sell side. This is what happens with the buyer. And then let them figure it out. Sound good? All right. Hold on. We have more to get to. We just put our calculator in here. Transactional attorneys, Shannon.
Hello.
Shannon, yourself. Right.
So I have a question for you. I understand like all the lawsuits and everything that are going on to negotiate this, but in like California and San Diego, our MLS, unless you offer a buyer broker compensation, you can't even put it in the MLS.
Well, these rules haven't changed everywhere yet. Actually, what's happening is Remax and Anywhere. So Anywhere is Realogy. So any Realogy company essentially has said that you can offer out any commission you want, everything else. This is going to force MLSs to change. So this has not, they have offered a settlement, right? And NAR just changed their rulings to say that you don't have to offer out a compensation. They changed their guidelines. So this can happen, right?
Okay.
Look,
Yeah.
in the end of the day, the sellers expect to pay part of the commission, right? And when you're explaining this to a seller, you're going to say, look, whatever you decide to do, don't steer them in any way, right? I turn around to you, Shannon, and say, look, whatever you decide to do, the famous Chirag line, support you 100%. And you're going to say, look, I'm not worried. You've already clearly communicated you see a value in our service and you want to partner together. And they're going to say yes. So the only thing that we have to think about is in what I control and what you control, what no one controls. And we'll add another thing. Can either one of us control if buyers could afford to pay their own commission for your home? No. Right? And what can you control? The compensation you offer for a buyer to come buy your property. You just change the script a little bit, right? And you're going to say, look, it is, in full disclosure, it is a risk that could potentially limit your buyer pool if we're offering out nothing. And even if they put it in their offer, we're going to say nothing. So you're really only looking for buyers if your home's $1 million, that people have $30,000 extra to pay an agent, or you're looking for me not to be able to give you any kind of advice, or the person just to represent themselves, which has so many different challenges, which could put you in jeopardy of moving to your next great opportunity. This is being an industry nerd and just explaining this stuff to people, because when you could explain it with the logic that I do, doesn't it sound like a terrible idea not to offer out cooperating compensation?
Yeah.
Percent. And by the way,
don't break it.
What's that?
If it's not broke, don't break it.
Yeah, but the other thing is some buyers agents don't do anything for the money, and this is what happens. So when you're doing this on a buyer, you now have all these different opportunities. And if people move to transactional attorneys, they move to transactional attorneys. They could have done this forever. It's not like this is something new. So the moral of the story today is this. Any of these cockamamie things of people doing of not paying, not doing this, look, you could have offered out $1 to a buyer's agent's commission for the last 20, 30 years. But no one did that because it doesn't make sense. Northeast MLS has been doing this, and 90% of the people still offer a co-bro. Are these kinds of interactive sessions helpful for everybody? Would you like to keep doing this going forward so we can get through everybody's challenges? Raise your hand. If anyone does not like this, speak now or forever hold your peace. Look, we need to take these sheets and really spend time putting more information into them. If you give me a problem to solve, I can solve it. And this is the opportunity, because look, we can start consolidating this into bucketed areas. Remember, I was telling you what's about, like, you know, what are you looking for? This is my way of doing the same exact thing I'm telling you to do with your clients with you. It's like, what are you looking the coach to help you with? Here it is. That you feel that, what are you looking to have your business coach help you with that you feel you can't figure out on your own? There's a spreadsheet. Same question, same process. It works everywhere you go. Jim, we're going to send this out in all of our comms in our recap letter and ask everyone to fill this out. So anyone that wants to do this, there's still 22 of you clicked on it. Go back in here and put more stuff in. Take 10 minutes and do it. Look, this is the benefit of collaborative learning. This right here. We're able to learn faster, move faster, grow faster than everyone else in the market. And I promise you, whatever you need, I got it. We've been literally talking about this for 2 years, so it's not like we're not prepared. You'll have offer template, like all of these things are here, and that's what we're figuring out. Like as this shakes out, like this is how we're planning. Like at the end of the year, all of us can do a 3-part business planning session together. Our skills will all be in a roadmap for next year. We'll get through this together. But you have to keep committing to it. So I'll leave you with this thought. You know the difference between being coachable and uncoachable? Anyone know? Anyone call out an answer? Cynthia, unmute yourself. I don't know why I can't hear you. All right, let's try this again.
Is that it? Can you
Yep,
hear me
there
now?
we go.
I was just saying, being coachable is you're willing to ask and receive.
Yep.
To learn.
So here's the difference in my mind. People that are uncoachable ask why. People that are coachable ask how. All of you just need to know, how do I do this, and just take action. Share what you need. I'll give you a solution and just go do it. So everyone should get into that WhatsApp group. You all need to be practicing every single day. This is not the time to figure it out later. Sound good? All right, we'll continue. Same bad time, same bad channel. Fill out this form. And look, just be positive. Don't get all in your emotions in your head, as difficult as it is. And you just need to be prepared when you have the shot. No one is doing this now. Nobody. Literally nobody. There's not a single training that I know of anywhere else that's talking about this. You guys have a platform, you have information, and most importantly, you have each other. So together we can always be more. As always, love my heart. I love you all. I will see you all soon. Bye, everybody.